Hello to all the viewers out there. As an introduction, I am Michael, but I tend to go by the moniker Impressionwiz by a lot of places. I happen to voice Val for the show, and it's a pleasure to get to talk to all of you. So, I'm still kind of an amateur voice actor, so it's kind of fun to be able to do a project like this. It's pretty fun. Stuff about me is I'm a big video game fan and also kind of fantasy fan and movie fan. Probably one thing that wouldn't surprise all of you. And it kind of ties into how I got into voice acting, sort of. I like to do voice impressions of a lot of the video game characters that I've played before. I kind of gotten into voice acting doing impressions of other characters and then kind of mixing them around and whatnot. I guess a big inspiration for my voice acting is actually some of the bigger voice actors out there like Robin Williams and Mike Myers. They bring characters to life. I honestly like doing that the most. The most challenging part about voicing my character Val, there's a couple things I'll say, and one of them's also kind of one of my favorites, but one of the challenges was I kind of came in after a while. I actually kind of took over Val for a little bit, or from the original one, because he wasn't able to continue on. The hard part was kind of getting the voice, because I tried to match his a little bit, but also kind of put my own swing to it as well, because I kind of have to put my own swing, because my voice and his voice aren't the same one. But another part is trying to keep it fairly soft without going monotone, or like keeping it not a lot of emotion without going too monotone, if that makes sense. Honestly, it does make him a really deep character, and that's what kind of makes it also my favorite part of the character. He's a very solemn person, but he's a very complex character, and I think that's my favorite part. Like I said, it's kind of tying in with trying not to make him a completely flat character, but trying to keep him kind of monotone. And this is actually kind of coming after some of the more complex things have happened, and he's getting like more complex, and I think he's starting to let out some more emotions at the last episode. The last episode I recorded, so that's actually pretty interesting. How long does it take to record an episode? It actually depends on how many lines I end up having for Val and which lines I end up getting stuck on, because there's sometimes I do get stuck on a line and have to do it over and over and over, but there's also times where I don't necessarily have that. Usually I try to record at least 3 takes of each line, at least. Usually that's my practice for things, so it probably takes around the ballpark at the most 30 minutes out of my day. If I get stuck, it might take longer, but if it's like not a very long part for him, which has been kind of for most of them, it doesn't really take a whole lot of time. Maybe about 15 minutes at most on some of the shorter ones, but with more Val in there, the more I take time to try and do. Am I anything like the character I voice? Honestly, no. Maybe the wanting to protect the sun thing is about the only thing I can say, and I'm saying this after episode 9 for clarity. I would be the same person to try and do whatever I could to protect my family. That's about the only thing I have in common with Val. Everything else, I'm a big goofball. I like to make people laugh, and I would rather avoid hurting anybody than do what Val's doing, to be fully honest. But what I do to actually get into character is I sometimes will, like the very first time I watched the episode preceding the one that I came in to get a handle of the voice. Afterwards, I've kind of tried to find the part of my own voice to do it, to make sure I can get it right again. If it's been a while since I've recorded for one, then I'll kind of sit and work on getting into the mindset. That's the one thing sometimes. I am somewhat of a method actor, so I will get into the mindset of a lot of the characters I do. So I do my best to try and get into that before I actually start recording lines. Val's one of those that's precise and to the point with a lot of what he does, and very calm. I just kind of try to be as calm as I can when I record the lines for him. If I could do any other character in the show, who would it be? Honestly, I like doing Val. I don't really have a specific character that I would want to do other than him, other than maybe someone that's kind of more of a drastic difference to him. lashing out all the time, like maybe Gunn, or maybe one of his subordinates. I don't remember all the names, so I apologize. Someone that's like outrageously frustrated or something like that, if that makes sense. Honestly, with working with them, they've been really good. As of recording this specific thing, they actually do care about the people underneath them, to actually ask if everything's going all right, because there was a little point where I had some radio silence to them about things. Probably recently I've had some issues going on, and I just hope I'm not actually letting the project down, but I just had a bit of an issue that just happened. I think they're pretty understanding about that, or would be pretty understanding. And anything to say to the fans of the project? Honestly, you guys are probably one of the biggest. I think this probably goes for any content creator on YouTube, even myself trying to bring my own YouTube up some and get myself out there with my stuff. But honestly, the fans are what really kind of push everybody in a project or even on a small YouTube channel of one person to do what they can. Some of the fans are just very supportive of things. I've actually read some of the comments on some of the YouTube videos, and it's just amazing. I've read some of the comments about the Val voice that I do, and it's very uplifting to hear all that. So honestly, I'm going to say thank you to the fans personally, because it's really good to hear some good words from people. As kind of a closing note, I'll share some of the places that you can find me elsewhere if you want to see some more of my voicing chops. I actually have a YouTube channel of my own called the Impressionwiz. I actually do a lot of gameplay on there, but a lot of the games I play, I try to find that don't have full voice acting, so I can put a voice to the characters. There's also a little bit of just me hanging out with one of my friends. The major point of my channel was to spread my voicing talent, and I still try to do that. And the best way I've found is by doing games that I can actually kind of voice over. Another place you can find me recently has been kind of quiet as of recording this. I'm on TikTok. I do a lot of short snippets of voices over there if you want to go check that out. The Impressionwiz is where you can find me there. If you do actually go to my YouTube or my TikTok, I usually link to the other one. In my YouTube, I actually have other projects that I do underneath it as well, if you want to go check that out. And you can actually find this channel under there as well. It would be my pleasure to host you in some of the weird hilarity that I tend to ensue when I'm not being serious and calculating as Val. I'd like to also finish this off with just by saying, again, thank you all to the fans. I don't really think some of the projects would be able to be done without any fan support. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the upcoming stuff of Project Infinity. I don't fully know what's up next, but I'm pretty sure it's in for a doozy.